If you don't own your life, someone else will do. Introduction. If you listen to this book, you will start to take back control of your time, your energy, and your mind. You'll stop chasing people. You'll stop explaining yourself. You'll stop getting distracted by things that don't matter. This book will teach you how to lock in on your goals, cut off the noise, and finally put yourself first, without guilt. You'll stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline. This book will help you win in life. Not by luck, not by chance, but by mastering the one thing that changes everything: yourself. Think about how many times you've waited. Waited for someone to notice your pain. Waited for someone to push you. Waited for the right moment. But you're still in the same place. Still scrolling. Still hoping. That ends now. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for permission. How many dreams have you put on hold because you were waiting for someone to give you permission? How many goals have you postponed because you were waiting for the perfect conditions? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I'll do it when I have more time," or "I'll begin when I feel ready"? Here's the truth that's going to shake you to your core. You already have permission. You've always had it. You were born with it. The only person's approval you need is your own. The only person's permission you need is your own. The only person who can make the decision to change your life is you. You think successful people waited for the right moment? You think they waited until they felt ready? You think they waited until all the stars aligned? Hell no. They started scared. They started unprepared. They started when it was inconvenient. They started when they didn't have all the answers. They started because they understood something you're about to understand right now. There is no perfect moment. There's only this moment. You've built yourself a prison, and you've decorated it so nicely that you've forgotten it's still a prison. You call it your comfort zone, but comfort is just another word for stagnation. Comfort is just another word for dying slowly. Comfort is just another word for settling for less than you deserve. Every single morning, you wake up and you have a choice. You can stay in that prison, or you can break out. But breaking out requires you to do something that terrifies most people. You have to take responsibility. Complete, total, uncompromising responsibility for your life. Stop blaming your parents for your problems. Stop blaming your boss for your lack of promotion. Stop blaming the economy for your financial situation. Stop blaming your circumstances for your unhappiness. Every single excuse you make is a nail in the coffin of your potential. The comfort zone prison. You've built yourself a prison, and you've decorated it so nicely that you've forgotten it's still a prison. You call it your comfort zone, but comfort is just another word for stagnation. Comfort is just another word for dying slowly. Comfort is just another word for settling for less than you deserve. Every single morning, you wake up and you have a choice. You can stay in that prison, or you can break out. But breaking out requires you to do something that terrifies most people. You have to take responsibility. Complete, total, uncompromising responsibility for your life. Stop blaming your parents for your problems. Stop blaming your boss for your lack of promotion. Stop blaming the economy for your financial situation. Stop blaming your circumstances for your unhappiness. Every single excuse you make is a nail in the coffin of your potential. Here's what nobody told you. Your energy is the most valuable currency you possess. And right now, you're spending it like a millionaire with a gambling addiction. You're throwing it away on things that don't matter. You're investing in other people's dreams while your own dreams collect dust in the corner of your mind. You spend hours scrolling through social media, comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You spend energy complaining about things you can't control while ignoring the things you can. You spend mental bandwidth on drama, on gossip, on negativity that adds absolutely nothing to your life. What if I told you that every minute you spend focused on someone else's life is a minute stolen from building your own? What if I told you that every hour you spend consuming instead of creating is an hour you'll never get back? What if I told you that every day you spend waiting is another day closer to the end of your story? Chapter 2, The Power of Self-Focus. When you finally decide to put all your energy where it belongs, on you, everything changes. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Today, right now, this very second. When you focus on yourself, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the architect of your destiny. When you focus on yourself, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. When you focus on yourself, you stop being average and start being exceptional. But focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means being self-aware. It means being self-disciplined. It means being self-motivated. It means understanding that you can't give what you don't have, and you can't pour from an empty cup. Let me tell you about the 3 pillars that will transform your life when you commit to focusing your energy on yourself. Pillar 1, your mind. Your mind is either your greatest asset or your worst enemy. Right now, it's probably your worst enemy. It's filled with doubt, fear, negative self-talk, and limiting beliefs. You've programmed it with years of I can't, I'm not good enough, and it's too late. But here's the beautiful truth. You can reprogram it. You can change the channel. You can upgrade the software. Start feeding your mind the right content. Read books that challenge you. Listen to podcasts that inspire you. Surround yourself with people who elevate you. Stop consuming garbage and start consuming greatness. Pillar 2, your body. Your body is the vehicle that carries your dreams. How can you expect to achieve extraordinary things with an ordinary vehicle? How can you expect to have extraordinary energy when you treat your body like a garbage dump? Start moving. Start exercising. Start eating foods that fuel you instead of foods that drain you. Your body is not just your temple, it's your powerhouse. When you take care of your body takes care of your goals. Pillar 3, your skills. Your skills are your security. Your skills are your freedom. Your skills are your ticket to the life you want. But skills don't develop themselves. They require practice. They require dedication. They require you to show up every single day, especially when you don't feel like it. Identify the skills that will take you where you want to go, and then obsess over developing them. Become so good at what you do that you become impossible to ignore. Let me give you a reality check that's going to hurt, but it's going to hurt so good. Every single day that you don't focus on yourself is a day you're moving backward, because while you're standing still, everyone else is moving forward. While you're making excuses, everyone else is making progress. While you're waiting for the perfect moment, everyone else is creating their perfect life. You think you have unlimited time? You think you can waste another year, another month, another week waiting for someone to save you? Life doesn't work that way. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Opportunities don't knock forever. Dreams have expiration dates. Chapter 3, your competition is you. Stop looking at what everyone else is doing. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Your only goal is to be better today than you were yesterday. Your only benchmark is your own progress. That person on social media who seems to have it all figured out, they started where you are now. That successful entrepreneur you admire, they had the same 24 hours you have. That person living your dream life, they made the same choice you're about to make. They decided to stop waiting and start building. Stop saying someday. Stop saying when I have more money. Stop saying when I have more time. Stop saying when things get better. Things don't get better. You get better. Life doesn't improve. You improve your life. The power is in the now. The power is in this moment. The power is in the decision you make right after you finish reading this. Are you going to close this and go back to your old patterns? Or are you going to close this and finally start building the life you've been dreaming about? Here's what you're going to do. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not after you think about it. not after you feel ready. Now, first, you're going to identify the one thing that's been holding you back the most, the one excuse you keep making, the one fear you keep running from, the one comfort zone you keep hiding in. Write it down, look at it, and then declare war on it. Second, you're going to identify the one skill that would have the biggest impact on your life if you mastered it. The one skill that would open doors. The one skill that would increase your value. The one skill that would move you closer to your goals. Commit to developing that skill every single day. Third, you got to eliminate one energy drain from your life. One person who brings you down. One habit that holds you back. One activity that wastes your time. Cut it out completely. Your energy is too valuable to waste on anything that doesn't serve your growth. As you start focusing all your energy on yourself, you're going to become a different person. You're going to become someone who doesn't need external validation. You're going to become someone who doesn't make excuses. You're going to become someone who doesn't wait for permission. You're going to become someone who takes action despite fear. You're going to become someone who embraces discomfort as a sign of growth. You're going to become someone who sees obstacles as opportunities. You're going to become the person you've always had the potential to be, but were too scared to become. You're going to become the person your future self is proud of. You're going to become the person who saves themselves. You're sitting there on the edge of something magnificent. Your mind is reaching toward a solution, a creative spark, a moment of clarity that could change everything. And then, ping, a notification pulls you away. In that instant, something precious is lost. Not just time, but the delicate thread of deep thought that takes so much energy to weave again. This is the modern tragedy. We live in an age of infinite possibility. You are constantly pulled away from realizing any of it. The enemy isn't failure or lack of talent. The enemy is distraction, and it's winning. Every app, every platform, every device around you has been engineered by teams of brilliant minds with one goal: to capture and hold your attention. They've studied your psychology, mapped your dopamine responses, and built sophisticated systems to keep you scrolling, clicking, consuming. Think about it. Billion-dollar companies employ neuroscientists, behavioral economists, and data scientists to make their products irresistible. They know exactly which colors trigger engagement, which sounds create urgency, which variable reward schedules keep you coming back. You're not weak for being distracted. You're human, fighting against weapons-grade persuasion technology. But here's what they don't want you to realize. Your attention is the source of everything valuable in your life. Your relationships, your career, your creativity, your peace of mind, all of it depends on your ability to focus deeply on what matters. When you give your attention away freely, you're not just losing time. You're losing your life. I chose to check my phone. I decided to watch that video. I wanted to see what was happening. Did you, though? Or did a carefully crafted algorithm decide for you? Most of our digital interactions aren't conscious choices. They're conditioned responses. The red notification badge creates a sense of urgency. The infinite scroll eliminates natural stopping points. The personalized content feels like it was made just for you because it literally was based on thousands of data points about your behavior. You think you're browsing freely, but you're walking through a maze designed to keep you lost. Every path leads to more content, more ads, more reasons to stay engaged. The exit signs are hidden, and the walls keep shifting. The recovery cost. When your attention is hijacked, it's not just the time you lose, it's the recovery time. Research shows it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption. But that's for simple tasks. For deep, creative work, the cost is much higher. Think about the last time you were interrupted while working on something important. You probably felt that jarring sensation of being pulled out of flow state. Your mind was operating at one level, and suddenly it had to shift gears completely. Getting back to that original state of focus requires rebuilding all the mental scaffolding you had constructed. This is why brief distractions have such devastating effects on meaningful work. It's not just the 5 minutes you spent checking social media. It's the 20 to 30 minutes it takes to get back to where you were, if you can get back at all. We've forgotten how to be bored, and in doing so, we've forgotten how to be creative. Boredom is not the enemy. It's the birthplace of imagination. When your mind isn't being fed a constant stream of external stimulation, it starts to create its own. It makes connections between seemingly unrelated ideas. It processes experiences and emotions. It solves problems that have been lurking in the background of your consciousness. The greatest thinkers throughout history understood this. They took long walks without podcasts. They sat in silence without reaching for entertainment. They allowed their minds to wander, to explore, to discover. But now, we reach for our phones the moment we feel even a hint of mental quiet. We've trained ourselves to fear the very state that produces our best ideas. Social media isn't just a distraction. It's a colonization of your mental space. Every post you see, every opinion you read, every image you scroll past plants seeds in your mind. These aren't neutral inputs. They shape your thoughts, your desires, your sense of what's normal or important. You start your day with your own thoughts, your own priorities, your own creative energy. But within minutes of opening your phone, you're thinking about what someone else thinks about something that happened to someone else somewhere else. Your mental energy is being redirected toward problems that aren't yours, opinions that aren't yours, lives that aren't yours. By the time you're ready to focus on your own work, your mind is already cluttered with 1,000 fragments of other people's consciousness. You're not thinking with your own thoughts anymore. You're thinking with a chaotic mixture of inputs that were never meant to be combined. Taking back your mind requires intentional practice. It's not enough to occasionally turn off notifications or take a digital detox. You need to fundamentally change your relationship with distraction. Start with the morning. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you reach for your phone immediately upon waking, you're surrendering your mental state to whatever the algorithm serves you. Instead, protect that time. Let your mind wake up slowly, naturally. Notice your thoughts before they're influenced by external noise. Create physical barriers between yourself and distraction. Put your phone in another room when you're working. Use apps that block distracting websites. Make the friction of distraction higher than the friction of focus. Practice the art of single tasking. When you're doing something, do only that thing. When you're reading, read. When you're writing, write. When you're having conversation, be fully present. This isn't just about productivity. It's about reclaiming the depth and richness of experience. When you consistently protect your attention, something remarkable happens. You don't just become more productive. You become more yourself. The ideas that emerge from sustained focus are different from the ideas that emerge from scattered attention. They're more original, more integrated, more authentic. Deep work compounds. Each session of focused attention builds on the previous one. You develop a tolerance for complexity, a comfort with ambiguity, a capacity for sustained effort that most people have lost. You start to see connections that others miss, to solve problems that others find overwhelming. But this only happens when you resist the constant pull of distraction. Every time you choose focus over convenience, depth over stimulation, signal over noise, you're not just accomplishing a task. You're strengthening the neural pathways that make future focus possible. The quieter the world becomes, the louder your true self starts speaking. But you have to create that quiet. It won't happen by accident. This isn't about becoming a hermit or rejecting all technology. It's about being intentional with your attention. It's about recognizing that your mind is your most valuable asset and protecting it accordingly. Start small. Choose 1 hour each day to be completely free from digital distraction. No phone, no notifications, no background noise. Just you and whatever you're working on. Notice how it feels. Notice what thoughts emerge. Notice how your mind behaves when it's not being constantly pulled in different directions. The return to yourself. At the end of the day, this is about more than productivity or success. It's about being fully alive to your own experience. It's about thinking your own thoughts, feeling your own feelings, pursuing your own dreams. You have something unique to offer the world, but you can't discover what it is if your mind is constantly filled with other people's content. You can't develop your own voice if you're always listening to other people's voices. You can't create something original if you're always consuming what others have created. The path back to yourself runs through the territory of deep, sustained attention. It requires saying no to the constant demands for your mental energy, so you can say yes to what truly matters. Your mind is not a billboard for other people's messages. It's not a processing center for the world's anxiety. It's not a repository for endless streams of content that you didn't choose and don't need. Your mind is your sacred space, your creative laboratory, your connection to everything that makes life meaningful. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Every moment offers the same choice. Will you give your attention to what someone else has decided should matter, or will you invest it in what you know matters? The enemy is distraction, but the solution is simple. Choose focus. Choose depth. Choose yourself. The world is noisy by design. Your job is to find the quiet space within yourself where your truest thoughts can emerge. Your job is to protect that space, to nurture it, to let it grow. Your job is to take your mind back. The time is now. The choice is yours. The enemy is distraction, but you, with your capacity for sustained attention, your hunger for meaning, your commitment to depth, you are stronger. Start today. Start now. Start with this moment. Take your mind back. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Self-Building. Every morning, your alarm rings and you face the most important decision of your day. Not what to wear, not what to eat for breakfast, but something far more profound. Will today bring you closer to who you want to be, or will you drift further away? This isn't philosophical speculation. It's mathematical reality. Every single day, you're either adding to your future self or subtracting from it. There is no neutral ground. There is no pause button on personal development. Focus fully on building your strongest self every day. You cannot afford to take days off when it comes to building yourself. We've been sold a lie about maintenance. We think we can maintain our current level without effort, that we can coast at our current capacity indefinitely. But maintenance is an illusion. In a world that's constantly evolving, staying the same is actually moving backward. Your skills atrophy. Your discipline weakens. Your mental clarity dims. Your emotional resilience decreases. Your physical strength wanes. This isn't pessimism. It's biology and psychology working against complacency. The moment you stop building, you start declining. The moment you stop growing, you start shrinking. The moment you stop challenging yourself, you start becoming weaker. The training paradox. You understand this principle perfectly when it comes to physical fitness. You know that if you train at the gym consistently, you get stronger. If you skip workouts for weeks, you get weaker. You wouldn't expect to maintain your bench press max by lifting occasionally or when you feel like it. Yet somehow, we treat our mental training, our habit formation, our character development as if they operate by different rules. We think we can coast through our personal development and somehow maintain our edge. But are you training your mind? Are you training your habits? Are you training your decisions? Your mind is a muscle that needs daily exercise. The architecture of self-building. Self-building isn't about dramatic transformations or overnight success. It's about the deliberate architecture of small, consistent improvements. It's about understanding that you are both the sculptor and the sculpture. Physical self-building. Your body is your vessel for experiencing life. Every day, you're either making it stronger or allowing it to weaken. This isn't just about looking good. It's about energy, vitality, mental clarity, and longevity. Your physical habits determine your physical future. Mental self-building. Your mind processes 70,000 thoughts per day. Are you training it to think better thoughts? Are you feeding it quality information? Are you challenging it with new problems? Are you developing focus, clarity, and critical thinking skills? Emotional self-building. Your emotional intelligence determines your relationships, your leadership ability, your resilience. Every day, you're either becoming more emotionally mature or remaining emotionally stunted. This requires practice, just like physical training. Spiritual self-building. Your connection to purpose, meaning, and values needs daily cultivation. Without this foundation, all other improvements become hollow achievements. Your spiritual practice, whatever form it takes, anchors your growth. Skills self-building. Your professional and personal skills are your tools for creating value in the world. Every day, you're either sharpening these tools or allowing them to dull. The marketplace rewards those who continuously improve. The power of daily systems. The secret to consistent self-building isn't motivation, it's systems. Motivation is an emotion that comes and goes. Systems are the infrastructure that carries you through when motivation fails. The momentum principle. Here's what most people don't understand about self-building. It gets easier the more you do it. The hardest part isn't maintaining the discipline, it's starting it. Building yourself creates positive momentum. Each day of growth makes the next day easier. Each good decision makes the next good decision more likely. Each small victory builds confidence for the next challenge. But the reverse is also true. Each day of drift makes the next day harder. Each poor decision makes the next poor decision more likely. Each small compromise makes the next compromise easier to justify. Every single day, you stand at crossroads. One path leads toward your potential. The other leads toward regret. One path requires effort, discipline, and short-term sacrifice. The other path offers comfort, ease, and long-term pain. The choice isn't between success and failure. It's between growth and drift. It's between becoming and settling. It's between building and coasting. Today's choices become tomorrow's identity. Today's actions become tomorrow's habits. Today's decisions become tomorrow's destiny. Chapter 4: The Exponential. Return. The beautiful truth about daily self-building is that it compounds exponentially. Small improvements, sustained over time, create massive transformations. 1% better each day doesn't just add up, it multiplies. After 1 year of 1% daily improvement, you're not just 365% better, you're 37 times better. This is the power of compound growth applied to personal development. But this only works if you're consistent. Sporadic effort produces sporadic results. Consistent effort produces exponential results. Every day, you have the opportunity to lay building blocks toward your future self. These aren't grand gestures. They're small, consistent actions that compound over time. Physical building blocks. Movement, nutrition, sleep, recovery. These aren't luxuries. They're the foundation of everything else you want to build. Mental building blocks. Reading, learning, thinking, problem solving. These expand your capacity to create value and solve problems. Emotional building blocks. Reflection, gratitude, empathy, emotional regulation. These determine your relationships and your resilience. Spiritual building blocks. Purpose, meaning, values, connection. These provide the why behind all your other efforts. Skill building blocks. Practice, study, application, feedback. These increase your ability to create value in the world. Every morning, ask yourself, what will I build today? Not what will I do today, or what will I accomplish today, but what will I build today? Building implies permanence. Building implies progress. Building implies that today's efforts will contribute to tomorrow's capacity. At the end of your life, you won't be asked about the days you coasted. You'll be measured by the days you built. You'll be remembered for the person you became, not the person you started as. Chapter 5: When You Fall. Let me tell you something no one wants to say. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. You're going to feel like quitting. Right now, you might be thinking, thanks for the pep talk. But here's the thing. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm here to prepare you for the reality that everyone else sugarcoats. Every time you fall or feel lost, life will knock you down. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. The true strength is in how many times you are willing to rise again. That's the test. Not whether you can be perfect, but whether you keep getting up. Every stumble is just proof you're moving. The day you stop hurting is the day you stop trying. Society sells you this fairy tale that success is a straight line up, that if you just work hard enough, follow the right steps, and stay positive, you'll glide effortlessly to your dreams. That's garbage. Success looks more like a seismograph during an earthquake, violent ups and downs, with progress hidden in the chaos. But here's what they don't tell you. The falling isn't the problem. The problem is what you do with yourself when you're down there, looking up at where you used to be. Before we talk about falling, let's talk about why it hurts so much. It's not just the impact. It's the weight of your own expectations crushing you on the way down. You had a plan. You had a vision. You saw yourself succeeding, and somewhere along the way, you started believing that vision was guaranteed. You forgot that dreams aren't promises. They're possibilities that require you to bleed for them. Focus on yourself means accepting that your timeline isn't the universe's timeline. You thought you'd be further along by now. You thought you'd have more money, more recognition, more certainty. You thought you'd have your life figured out. But here's the reality check. No one has it figured out. The people who seem to have it all together, they're just better at hiding their struggles. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. That successful person you admire, they failed more times than you've even tried. They just didn't broadcast their failures on social media. The weight of expectations becomes lighter when you realize that your only competition is who you were yesterday. Your parents' expectations, your friends' assumptions, society's pressure. None of that matters when you're alone with your thoughts at 2 a.m., wondering if you're good enough. The only voice that matters in that moment is yours. And if that voice is telling you to quit, you need to train it to tell you to try again. Expectations are just premeditated resentments. When you expect life to be easy, you resent it for being hard. When you expect success to come quickly, you resent the process for taking time. But when you expect to fall, to struggle, to question everything, suddenly, you're prepared for reality. This is about focusing on yourself, not on what others think your life should look like. The anatomy of failure. Let's dissect failure like a surgeon. Let's understand what it really is, because most people are afraid of something they don't even understand. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the raw material of success. Every failure contains information. Every setback reveals something about your approach, your preparation, or your mindset that success never could. When you focus on yourself, you start to see failure as feedback, not judgment. There are 3 types of failure, and you need to understand all of them. 1. Tactical failure. This is when your strategy was wrong. You chose the wrong approach, the wrong timing, the wrong method. This is the easiest type to fix because it's about adjusting your actions, not questioning your worth. 2. Preparation failure. This is when you weren't ready. You didn't have the skills, the knowledge, or the experience. This stings because it means you have to go back to the drawing board and do the work you thought you could skip. 3. Character failure. This is the deepest cut. This is when you quit when you should have persevered, when you took shortcuts when you should have done it right, when you let fear make decisions for you. This is about who you are, not just what you do. Most people only focus on tactical failures because they're the easiest to blame on external circumstances. The market wasn't right. I didn't have enough resources. The timing was off. But the failures that transform you are the preparation and character failures. The ones that force you to look in the mirror and ask hard questions about yourself. Here's the truth about failure. It's not personal, but your response to it is. Failure doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your timeline. It doesn't care about your excuses. Failure is just information wrapped in discomfort. But your response to failure? That's where your character reveals itself. You can respond with bitterness, blaming everyone and everything except yourself. You can respond with despair, convincing yourself that you're not cut out for this. Or you can respond with curiosity, asking, what is this trying to teach me? When you focus on yourself, you realize that failure is not happening to you. It's happening for you. Failure doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your timeline. It doesn't care about your excuses. Failure is just information wrapped in discomfort. But your response to failure? That's where your character reveals itself. You can respond with bitterness, blaming everyone and everything except yourself. You can respond with despair, convincing yourself that you're not cut out for this. Or you can respond with curiosity, asking, what is this trying to teach me? When you focus on yourself, you realize that failure is not happening to you. It's happening for you. Every failure is a test. Not a test of your worth, but a test of your commitment. How badly do you want this? Are you willing to pay the real price, not just the price you thought it would cost? The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail better, faster, and with more intention. They treat each failure like a scientist treats a failed experiment, as valuable data that brings them closer to the breakthrough. Here's what no one tells you about resilience. It's lonely. When you're down, everyone has advice. When you're getting back up, you're mostly on your own. Focusing on yourself means accepting that your journey back to the top will be solitary. People love a good comeback story, but they don't want to watch it being written. They want to see the highlight reel, not the daily grind of rebuilding. They want to celebrate your victory, not sit with you in your uncertainty. This is where most people quit, not in the initial failure. That's dramatic and gets sympathy. People quit in the quiet moments when they're rebuilding and no one's watching. They quit when the motivation fades and all that's left is the work. The loneliness serves a purpose. It forces you to develop an internal compass. When you're surrounded by people telling you what to do, it's easy to lose yourself in their opinions. But when you're alone with your thoughts, your fears, and your dreams, you have to decide who you really are and what you really want. This loneliness isn't punishment. It's purification. It burns away everything that isn't essential. It strips away the people who were only there for your success, leaving you with the ones who genuinely care about your growth. You discover that the only approval you really need is your own. Society conditions us to seek external validation. We want likes, shares, comments, applause. But when you're rebuilding, those things become distractions. The only validation that matters is the quiet satisfaction of knowing you didn't quit when quitting would have been easier. This is where you develop what I call internal scorecard thinking. Instead of measuring your worth by what others think, you measure it by whether you're becoming the person you're capable of being. The loneliness also teaches you to be comfortable with uncertainty. Most people need constant reassurance that they're on the right path. They need guarantees, roadmaps, and clear signs that they're going to succeed. But when you're rebuilding alone, you learn to be comfortable with, I don't know, but I'm going to keep going anyway. This uncertainty isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the ability to act without knowing the outcome. It's faith in your own ability to handle whatever comes next. When you focus on yourself, you realize that loneliness is just independence in disguise, that the psychology of getting back up 10 minutes. Let's talk about what happens in your mind when you're deciding whether to get back up. Because this is where the real battle is fought, not in the external world, but in the theater of your own thoughts. Your mind is not your friend during this process. It's your survival mechanism, and its job is to keep you safe, not to help you succeed. When you fail, your mind immediately goes into protection mode. It starts generating reasons why you should quit, why this isn't worth it, why you're not cut out for this. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to prevent you from experiencing more pain. But here's the problem. Your mind can't tell the difference between physical danger and emotional discomfort. To your brain, the fear of failing again feels the same as the fear of being eaten by a predator. So it triggers the same response: avoid, escape, hide. Focusing on yourself means learning to manage your mind instead of being managed by it. You need to understand that your thoughts are not facts. They're just electrical impulses in your brain, and you have more control over them than you think. The voice telling you to quit is not the voice of wisdom. It's the voice of fear dressed up as logic. Here's a mental framework that will save you. The 3-2-1 rule. 3 minutes. Give yourself 3 minutes to feel sorry for yourself. Cry, scream, punch a pillow. Get out of your system. 2 questions. Ask yourself 2 questions. What did I learn? And what's my next move? 1 action. Take 1 small action toward your goal, no matter how tiny. This prevents you from wallowing while still honoring your need to process the disappointment. It gives you a structure for moving from emotional reaction to strategic response. You also need to understand the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. When you fail, it's going to hurt. That's not optional. But suffering is optional. Suffering is pain plus the story you tell yourself about what the pain means. Pain says, this didn't work. Suffering says, this didn't work because I'm not good enough. Pain says, I made a mistake. Suffering says, I always make mistakes because I'm a failure. Pain says, this is hard. Suffering says, this is hard because I'm not meant to succeed. When you focus on yourself, you learn to feel the pain without adding the story. The pain will pass. It always does. But the story you tell yourself about the pain can haunt you for years. Choose your story carefully. Mental resilience is like physical fitness. It's built through repetition and progressive overload. Every time you get back up, you're strengthening your resilience muscles. Every time you choose to try again instead of quit, you're building evidence that you're the kind of person who doesn't give up. This is why the first time you get back up is the hardest. You don't have evidence that you can do it. But the second time is easier because you've done it before. The third time is easier still. Eventually, getting back up becomes your default response to failure. You're not just recovering from this failure. You're training for the next one. Resilience isn't something you have. It's something you practice. And like any practice, it requires daily attention, not just crisis intervention. Focusing on yourself means building systems that support your comeback before you need them. Most people wait until they're in crisis to develop resilience. They wait until they're knocked down to learn how to get back up. But that's like waiting until you're drowning to learn how to swim. It's possible, but it's not optimal. Here's what daily resilience practice looks like. Morning preparation. Start each day by mentally preparing for challenges. Not because you're pessimistic, but because you're realistic. Ask yourself, what could go wrong today, and how will I handle it? This isn't about expecting problems. It's about being prepared for them. Evening review. End each day by reviewing what went well and what didn't. Celebrate the wins, but spend more time analyzing the failures. What did you learn? How will you apply that learning tomorrow? This turns every day into a learning laboratory. Physical foundation. Your mental resilience is built on your physical foundation. When your body is weak, your mind follows. Exercise isn't just about looking good. It's about building the physical capacity to handle stress. When you can push through physical discomfort, emotional discomfort becomes more manageable. Skill development. Every day, get slightly better at something that matters to your goals. Read for 30 minutes. Practice for an hour. Study for 20 minutes. Small daily improvements compound into major capabilities over time. Relationship cultivation. Surround yourself with people who support your growth, not just your comfort. You need people who will tell you the truth, even when it hurts. You need people who believe in your potential, even when you don't. But here's the most important part of daily resilience practice: learning to be comfortable with discomfort. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. They avoid difficult conversations, challenging tasks, and uncertain situations. But discomfort is where growth lives. The more comfortable you become with being uncomfortable, the more resilient you become. This means deliberately choosing the harder path when both options are available. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Have a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Do the work instead of procrastinating. These small choices to embrace discomfort build your tolerance for the bigger discomforts that come with pursuing meaningful goals. Daily resilience practice also means developing what I call failure immunity. This doesn't mean you won't feel disappointed when you fail. It means you won't be surprised by failure, and you won't let it derail you. You expect setbacks as part of the process, so when they happen, you're ready to respond instead of react. When you focus on yourself through daily practice, you become anti-fragile. Anti-fragile means you don't just survive stress, you get stronger because of it. Most people are fragile. They break under pressure, or resilient. They bounce back to their original state. But when you're anti-fragile, pressure makes you better than you were before. This is the ultimate goal of focusing on yourself, to become the kind of person who gets stronger from adversity, not just survives it. Here's something beautiful about getting back up. It compounds. Each time you do it, you're not just solving the immediate problem, you're building a reputation with yourself. When you focus on yourself, you start to see the consistency in getting back up is more valuable than perfection in staying up. The world is full of people who never fell because they never really tried. They played it safe, avoided risks, and as a result, they never developed the strength that comes from overcoming adversity. They might look successful on the surface, but they're brittle. When pressure comes, they crack. You, on the other hand, are developing something more valuable than success. You're developing durability. Every time you get back up, you're proving to yourself that you can handle whatever life throws at you. This creates a positive feedback loop. Success, confidence, bigger risks, bigger failures, bigger comebacks, more confidence, even bigger risks. Each cycle makes you stronger. Each failure teaches you something that success never could. Each comeback proves that you're more resilient than you thought. The compound effect works in 3 ways. 1. Skill compounding. Each failure teaches you something new. Over time, you accumulate a library of hard-won knowledge that gives you a massive advantage over people who've never been tested. 2. Confidence compounding. Each time you get back up, you prove to yourself that you can do it. This builds genuine confidence, not the fake confidence that comes from never being challenged, but the real confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever comes next. 3. Network compounding. People are drawn to resilient individuals. When you consistently get back up, you attract other people who value persistence and growth. Your network becomes stronger, which makes your future comebacks easier. But here's the most important part. The compound effect changes your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid, you start seeing it as information. Instead of fearing setbacks, you start expecting them as part of the process. Instead of being surprised by obstacles, you start being surprised when things go smoothly. This shift in perspective is everything. When you're no longer afraid of falling, you become willing to take bigger risks. When you're no longer surprised by setbacks, you recover faster. When you're no longer devastated by failure, you can learn from it more effectively. The compound effect of getting back up eventually makes you unstoppable. Not because you never fail, but because failure can't stop you. Not because you never get knocked down, but because getting back up becomes automatic. Not because you never doubt yourself, but because you trust your ability to figure it out. This is what focusing on yourself ultimately creates, an unshakable foundation of self-trust that can weather any storm. So here we are, at the end of this journey, and I want to leave you with the truth about strength. Strength isn't about never falling. Strength is about getting back up. Strength isn't about never doubting yourself. Strength is about acting despite your doubts. Strength isn't about having all the answers. Strength is about being comfortable with questions. When you focus on yourself, you realize that the goal isn't to avoid falling, it's to fall forward. Every fall teaches you something. Every setback reveals something about your character. Every comeback proves something about your capacity. The falls aren't interruptions to your journey. They are the journey. The day you stop hurting is the day you stop trying. Pain is the price of growth. Comfort is the enemy of progress. When you're no longer uncomfortable, you're no longer growing. When you're no longer challenged, you're no longer evolving. Every time you fall or feel lost, life will knock you down. It's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. The true strength is in how many times you are willing to rise again. This isn't just a motivational quote. It's a life philosophy. It's a commitment to yourself that no matter how many times you fall, you'll get back up. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Not because you feel like it, but because it's who you are. You're not defined by your falls. You're defined by your rises. Every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has fallen. Every person who has ever made a difference has failed. Every person who has ever inspired others has been knocked down. The difference isn't in their ability to avoid failure. It's in their refusal to let failure define them. So when you fall, and you will, remember this. The ground is not your home. The ground is just a place you visit temporarily while you figure out how to get back up. The ground is where you rest, regroup, and prepare for your next attempt. But it's not where you belong. You belong in the arena, fighting for your dreams. You belong in the game, taking risks and learning from mistakes. You belong in the conversation about what's possible, not sitting on the sidelines wondering what might have been. Focus on yourself. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Not because you're perfect, but because you're persistent. Not because you never fail, but because you never quit. Not because you have all the answers, but because you're willing to keep asking questions. The world needs people who get back up. The world needs people who refuse to stay down. The world needs people who understand that falling is part of flying. You're one of those people. Now prove it. The true strength is in how many times you are willing to rise again. That's the end of the book. I hope this teaches you something today. Dr. Julian Vance has been with you all the way. And always remember, keep learning. Keep pushing forward. Who stops reading, stops growing.